All right, so let's talk about Tyler Perry's latest film, A Fall from Grace. This is his first collaboration with Netflix. It's his first collaboration with a streaming service in general. And before I get into my review, actually, of this movie, I want to just, preface with my thoughts on Tyler Perry as a person before I talk about him as a filmmaker. I think as a person, just from what I've seen and what I've gathered, I've never met the man, but from what I've seen in interviews and just have taken notes of, that he is a genuine stand-up guy. Like, a lot of people love him. He gives opportunities to so many people. He gives back to the community. There's always a job for someone. He works tirelessly. He continues just creating, and I love that, and I love that he's a huge inspiration. Every time he promotes a movie, I'm always watching his interviews. I'm always intrigued by the guy. I'm always inspired by his story, because if you don't know, he started basically from rags and got to riches. Poor, homeless, he's been through it all. And then, he struck gold with that Medea character, created plays, kept working, constantly kept flushing out new ideas for the character, and just took it, on the road and really just built something from this character. And I have to say, I think Medea is a really funny character. Obviously, there's been misfires in the last few movies, in my opinion, that just started to go on and just got a little too dragged out. But I will say, I think his story and just where he's gotten to today is just remarkable. He has his own studio now. Like, it's Tyler Perry Studios. It's a 330-acre lot. Like, that is insane. It is impressive. I commend and applaud this man for his efforts. And so him as a person, I think, is wonderful. I would love to meet him, love to pick his brain, hear his story from his mouth to my ears. I would just love to hear that one day. That's my thoughts on Tyler as a person. Let's talk about him as a filmmaker. I struggle greatly with him as a storyteller. This isn't to say I dislike all of his movies. There have been some I've enjoyed. The Family That Prays, the Why Did I Get Married movies. I've enjoyed some of the Medea movies. Not all of them, because like I said earlier, they somehow seem to just jump the shark and they just get stretched out of a plot that's so thin, and it's like we have to make a feature, so he just continues to throw things in there, and that's always been a headache of mine. And it's just something that I've struggled with, again, with him as a filmmaker in later years. So here we are now with A Fall from Grace. I've seen pretty much all of Tyler Perry's movies to date, I think, with the exception of a few of those Medea movies, but I've seen his more serious work, starting with Temptation, that came out in like 2013. And then in 2018, he released a movie with Taraji P. Henson called Acrimony. This was our first look at him as making a thriller. I didn't think that movie was thrilling at all. It felt like a Lifetime movie ripped from exactly that network and just kind of been given a bigger budget, but not too much bigger, because you could tell that the movie was shot for very little money and shot very quickly. That is another thing that I struggle with, is that he puts these movies out rather quickly. He shoots them in like 5 days, which you would think is another insane achievement to his list of achievements. And on one idea, that is when you shoot an entire feature film in a week. But when you can tell that the movie was shot in a week, that's where the problem is. So for me, I struggle, because this movie is so clear as day that it was shot in 5 days. To me, that's not impressive, because we see the effort. We see kind of just the lacking in the process. I don't mean to offend any of the filmmakers behind it who, worked probably tirelessly in those 5 days, worked 16, 17 hours. I don't know how long they worked. I assume they worked round the clock because they had a really tight schedule. You're shooting a 2-hour movie. A story like this would have been shot in like a month or longer, but it was condensed in 5 days. And so that's problem number one I have with the movie, is that you can sense and feel that it's rushed, it's put together quickly, and that's a big distraction. The second problem is I think that the script is just very weak. The directing is very weak. And that's a problem, because when you're telling a story, you should be very, clear. Maybe to him he was very clear, but to me I was just like, this is sloppy. It's a mess. It's all over the place. Number 3 is the acting. I think all the acting in this movie, all the actors anyway, are very talented. I just think because of the weak material, it comes off as so dramatic and soap opera-y and it's forced. Everything about it feels completely cringy, and there's nothing really thrilling about it when it's over the top. You're just kind of laughing at that point. Not to say that I don't love a good Lifetime movie, but I think the intention of this movie was to be really serious and really jarring and thrilling and scary in a way. But it wasn't. I didn't think any of it was scary. I can see why he thought this would be scary or thrilling, but it just comes off so laughable. I was sitting in the movie, like just watching the movie going, okay, I wasn't supposed to laugh there, but why? But it's funny. Like that's how I looked at it, unfortunately. I must also say that the movie just doesn't really have that good of scares or cheap. Like it's cheap. It's cheap thrills. The twists and turns that this movie is claiming to have are not really that twisty or turny. It's just kind of like when it is revealed at the end of what's going on, you're kind of like, okay, like that's crazy, but it felt very just like it felt anticlimactic in my opinion. And by the time it was revealed, it was over like that, and the credits were rolling, and it was like, did we really learn anything? And then the movie, without really spoiling this for you, kind of leaves it open for another one. And it just felt like a very cop-out ending. It felt like something we've seen a dozen times before. Nothing felt original. Nothing felt fresh. And so it just kills me when I hear that this movie has all the twists and turns. You're never going to see this coming. And you're just like, but I kind of did. Like, maybe certain things I didn't see coming, but even when they are revealed, you're like, okay. Like honestly, that's where my brain was watching it. So I say all this again to say, no disrespect to Tyler Perry. I think he tries, but I think we can see the effort, and that's the problem, is that the effort is shown. It's supposed to look effortless. I just felt like this movie could have had a really intense story, which it does. There's potential there, but it gets lost in a sloppy script. A very messy script and messy direction. Again, I think the actors are fine if they were just given a little bit more to work with. It's just the way they were directed, and they were probably rushing to get their lines memorized because they're like, we have 5 days to film this movie. So, unfortunately, I can't recommend that you watch it. If you're like me and enjoy just like kind of a laughing stock of a movie, then maybe check it out. Otherwise, you can skip this one. Don't watch it. It's not great. And yeah, that's my thoughts on A Fall from Grace. I am going to watch the next Tyler Perry movie when he releases one, but this is one that I just can't recommend. So that's my review. If you enjoyed, let me know what you thought. If you've seen the movie, let me know what you thought of it, because I'd like to hear your thoughts on this movie, because this is a real conversation starter, I'll tell you that. But unfortunately, I don't think it's scary or thrilling in any way. All right. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for checking it out. Don't see it.